Hello everyone. Imagine that at the moment you're either at your university, at your workplace. There's a specific terms and words that you will use depending on your environment. Either phrases, keywords, slang words, acronyms. All of these are part of language. This is a proof that the language we use is influenced by our environment. Um, and this does have an impact in our vocabulary, in the language that we use overall. To me, all of these connections are fascinating and I found them interesting. So let's take a look into some of the connections that we can make within the way we think and the way we speak and we use language. First of all, language is defined by Dictionary of Cambridge University as a system of communication consisting of sounds, words, and grammar, or the system of communication used by people in a particular country or type of work. So at times we might restrict ourselves to think that there's only written and spoken language. But that's a lie because we have nonverbal communication, which is also part of language. And at times we say more by the way we see it, by the way we walk, than what we say with our words. So there's another term, which is cognition, and I think it's important for us to take a look at this. Cognition literally means knowledge. In any scenario, if a person wants to use language, the person must have knowledge. And the first knowledge that it's received or perceived by somebody, it's his or her surroundings, the environment. And there are abstract and concrete concepts that differ from one culture and the other. And that will be directly related to culture. So the brain creates the reality based on perception, which is highly influenced but not limited or restricted completely by culture. So we have linguistic relativism, which is a theory done by Worth and Sapir, promoted by them. And basically what it tells us is that language is jointly assembled with culture, and language is used as a tool to create our worldview, to have one. And as a matter of fact, in Costa Rica or any other country, there are some words that represent our culture. In that way, other people can see our worldview, such as pura vida, for instance. And this, as I told you before, can represent not only our culture, but also other people's culture and the way they think about the world. We do have language determinism. This is a theory in which the way an individual thinks is shaped directly and entirely by the use of his native language. It is interesting how people perceive color, for instance, in different cultures. The Shona language in Zimbabwe and Boas language in Liberia have no words to distinguish red from orange. Do you imagine that? We do have the words in Latin America and North America, but they don't have it there. So their perception and the way they see colors is different from ours. However, there are words for black and white in every language. So with this in mind, when it comes to translation, translators must have a hard time when they want to translate a word, an abstract feeling that doesn't exist in their language, such as Tosca, which is a Russian word that means sadness, and we don't have a word in English that it's far from its original meaning. So as a conclusion, through the examples and concepts we checked, it's clearly understood that culture and language are tightly interwoven, and that language is not limited to culture. Also, individuals are not limited to written and spoken communication because we also have nonverbal communication, which is the greatest amount of communication used Language represents different ways of thinking about the world. We have to keep in mind that what we will consider as reality or true is not but what the brain wants to perceive or perceives. So, as part of humankind, there are some concepts or ideas, no matter how different they are or how similar our cultures will be, they will remain universal, such as black and white.